Jim Tucker joins us, independent sports journalist out of Oz. Jim, it seems to have changed. It's quite a fluid story over the last 24 hours or so. The latest mail we have is that Khawaja is not going to wear these shoes.
Yes, the ICC has been in touch with Cricket Australia and made it plain that it would be inappropriate to wear the shoes. Now, Usman Khawaja, as an individual, has made a very emotional post on Instagram, again saying, are all lives not equal? And he said it's not a political statement, and he's not taking sides. And when he sees thousands of innocent children dying without remorse, he imagines and thinks of his own two daughters and their situation in life. Now, Usman Khawaja, for background, he grew up as a Muslim lad in Western Sydney, a boy who was born in Pakistan, and he felt racism and inequality very personally in his early life. And he feels strongly that now he's a international test cricketer with personal confidence that he can express humanity. And he doesn't see that as an issue. Now, there's obviously multiple dimensions to this, Martin.
Yeah, look, when it comes down to it, though, it seems quite simple to me. He is employed by Australian Cricket. The ICC run the game. They have rules and regulations. They're very clear about not wanting political statements of any kind made by players while they are playing, and they seem to be enforcing those rules.
Yes, I mean, my situation is very much that it's completely different to be an Aussie cricketer expressing a personal view, and he did that really in the nets with his boots. Basically, all lives matter. That's basically what he's expressing, and his right to express that I'll fight for as long as you like. But totally different, yes. When you're wearing the cap and representing Australia, you stick to cricket. Because not everyone in Australia who you are representing may hold that same view. I think that's a fair enough differentiation there. What we'll talk about, Martin, is the inconsistencies that are about. We've had cricketers allowed to take a knee for Black Lives Matter.
Yep.
Khawaja would be saying, well, all lives matter. That's my humanitarian position. Is that different? Now you move into Australian netball, and they had their players uncomfortable with wearing the branding of Hancock prospecting. So there's a bit of a argy-bargy there, and ultimately the netballers lost their multi-million-dollar sponsorship with Hancock prospecting. So there's issues and flare-ups all along this area in sport now.
Khawaja's trying to play both hands here, really, though, isn't he? I mean, I understand his message, sure, but it is provocative and deliberate in that it's the Palestinian colours, and so that is absolutely attached to it. If it was done in Australian colours, if it was done in green and gold, it would be a different message, would it not?
Yes, but Usman Khawaja has skin in this game in terms of knowing what it's like to feel racism and inequality, and he feels he has a platform to make that case. Now, the case may well have been made by doing it in the net over in Perth before the first test against Pakistan starts on Thursday. The Australian Sports Minister, Annika Wells, has come out and said he should have every right to speak on matters that are important to him. Again, that is perhaps under the personal platform that he has. And just to raise the issue and the awareness as a personal thing, that's what he's done to this point. So we do wait and see if it goes into the team arena. And I do believe he is fighting to seek approval from the ICC to see where it can go next.
Jim Tucker is with us, a very trusted and respected journalist, freelance journalist across Australia, and been on the program with a couple of decades for us. So would you agree, though, that I think he's made his protest and I think he's got his publicity, and, you know, whether or not he was allowed or wasn't allowed to wear those shoes, I think he's made his point, hasn't he? He's made it loud and clear, and he's certainly got a lot of headlines.
Yeah, I think sometimes, well, you could say already that Usman Khawaja has got that polarising opinion. I mean, he put up his Instagram post and he's received phone calls and messages on his Instagram site that very much on both sides or both ends of the poll on this, and I guess that is the situation we're seeing in the Middle East at the moment. There is such disparate opinions on exactly what is happening, where the rights and wrongs are of everything, and how people are being treated equally or unequally. It's a very complicated situation.
I don't want to be flippant about it, but, without this, I mean, was that test going to raise much of an eyebrow anywhere in Australia? Was it really?
That's a good point. I mean, we made that exact commentary about the fact that we didn't have David Warner having this countdown to his farewell test, and we're saying, thank goodness for David Warner, even though there's a good slice of Australia thinking, hang on, how do you call your retirement date 3 tests ahead? I mean, that's not given to very many people. David Warner's 37, a very storied and successful career. He averages 44 in Test cricket, and perhaps the only blemish Martin has been, in terms of his run making, has been playing against Stuart Broad in England. Most other occasions he's on top of it. I guess the big comment in Australia is who takes his place. Like, if there was someone knocking on the door like Adam Gilchrist once was with Ian Healy, and Ian Healy had desperately wanted a farewell test of his home ground at the Gabba, but because Adam Gilchrist was a stellar talent right behind him, the Australian selectors said, well, it's Gilly's time, so Heels missed out on his Gabba farewell. In this situation, you've got Marcus Harris, who's been anointed. In a sense, he's only averaging 31 in Shield cricket this summer. Matt Renshaw, another, he's averaging around the same. And perhaps the one candidate behind him is, ironically, another Sandpaper Gate character, Cameron Bancroft. He's averaging 56 and has a couple of hundreds for Western Australia this year. So he's probably the man in form and the next in line. And his consistency over the last few years probably warrants him being the next guy tapped after Warner does leave the scene.
All publicity, good publicity. I can't remember who said that. It might have been Oscar Wilde. At least they're being talked about. And so Mitchell Johnson having a crack at David Warner and that to and fro, and now Khawaja, and now eyes on the prize of this test starting today.
Yeah, well, the Pakistanis have not had a recent history of success in Australia, so I guess that downplays their prospects and the evenness of the series. But they do have some exceptional players. Babar Azam, who the Kiwis have had trouble dismissing at times. He is an exceptionally good batsman. Shaheen Shah Afridi, excellent fast bowler, left armer. Wasim Akram, they probably like him. He'll be in the commentary box only. But yeah, there's some talented players with the Pakistan team. They'll have the bounciest wicket in Australia to contend with outside the Gabba, so that'll be very interesting in itself. Of course, Pakistan teams over decades have made their names in Australia. Imran Khan had some wonderful tests against Australia back in the 70s and early 80s. Inzamam ul Haq batted beautifully against Australia, even back to Majid Khan with that floppy white hat back in the 1970s taking on Dennis Lilly. There was some classic Pakistan-Australia moments that we'll see again. Javed Miandad with the
bat,
Elephant fiasco. So and that was over in Perth. So something can always happen in cricket, and that's what gets our eyeballs on it. Very much like Eddie Jones, it seems. You've got to keep your eyeballs on Eddie, or you never know where he might turn up.
Yeah, I saw John Mitchell making a comment about that as well. I mean, I don't think it's any great surprise that he's ended up in Japan, and I mean, he certainly leaves a fair bit of chaos behind him, doesn't he?
Yes, well, even if you look at 3 international jobs in 12 months, I mean, that's a world record for high-profile Test rugby jobs. I'd say full credit to the Sydney Morning Herald's Tom Decent, an excellent journalist who first broke the story in September when it was very unpopular with certain parts of Australian rugby. Oh, can Eddie be doing this? Can he be entertaining interviews with Japan for post-World Cup? And it's come to pass. Tom's been very dogged on the story, and he's actually in Tokyo for Eddie's first conference as Japan coach today. So that'll be potentially one of those ones where Eddie raises that cheeky eyebrow of his and puts the devil eye on Tom, and he'll have some response, Eddie, because it's been marked a number of times in Australia that there was almost 12 denials of this story and the fact that he would be coaching Japan, and lo and behold, he is. So at best, Eddie was cagey and evasive, and at worst, he's been telling a string of porky pies. So that's the situation with Eddie.